he became a policeman and worked in the communications division and developed what we know today, what's called the super heterodyne fiber. Okay? Now, I'm not a techie in any far stretch of the imagination, but I know it fixed that problem. Anybody know what sandwich board is? It's this stuff looks like this. It's real thin. Okay? You put hooks in it, you know? Well, they made this little radio set that this motorcycleman made and brought it up about 8 feet in the air and dropped it on the ground, then went out into the car, put it in, turned it on, keyed up the mic, and it worked. Okay? That was their field test. Okay? So, put it inside cars. They had a couple advantages and disadvantages. Primarily it's one way. You just listen. That's it. Back then they still used the call boxes on side the road. And you got your calls by somebody going on the radio and say, 1M10, go ahead, call headquarters. So they drive to the nearest box, open the box, what do you want? Okay? There was another big disadvantage with this guy right here. It worked on what they call a servo motor principle. Okay? Which means they've got a 12-volt battery. Now the 12-volt battery itself is not enough to close the contacts between those two, between the radio to make it relay, close it, and send it off. Okay? So when you key the mic, you hear in the background this this little motor driving up enough juice to make these contacts go together. Well, remember, we're talking mid-20s, mid-30s, right around there. The Depression, gangsters, you know, Elliot Ness, the guys running on the side with the Thompson submachine guns, okay? While that's going, this officer's keying his mic, and for 45 seconds to a minute and a half, it takes that long to develop enough juice to close the contacts. Well, that's real good, providing the guy shooting at you is going to cooperate. Okay? So we came a long way. But the funny story about this is, anybody have a problem with bureaucracy? Well, Rutledge had a serious problem with bureaucracy. Okay, serious. FCC said, police? Radio? What is that? That doesn't exist. He went through 75 license changes. Okay? In 3 years. And the straw that broke the camel's back, again, God's gospel truth, is when the FCC said, listen, there ain't no police radio. There's only one kind of radio that I know of. You turn it on, you hear music. So if you want to operate between your calls, you got to play music. Between your calls, you got to play music. So, you know, I can imagine it now, you know, right down the street. 1M12, robbery in progress. So he shut the doors and closed it for 2 years. Then finally in 1928, he got his final and approved FCC police radio frequency. And we've gone from there. From simplex to duplex to triplex, or whatever you want to call it. I know they're all misnomers. From one-way communication to two-way communication to be three-way communication with everybody listening to you. And now we're into something called digital transmission of data. Okay? Anybody want to talk about that? About the police department, this police department in general? Well, we've come a long way. I've only been here with this police department for about 12 years. But 9 of those 12 spent in dispatch, so I know what we did 9 years ago. And 9 years ago, we didn't do all that different than we did 20 years ago. We have a term in the police department called drop a slip. Anybody ever called 3131 or 911 for the city of Houston? Okay. Every now and then the operator will tell you, I am dropping the slip now. And that's the internal vernacular. saying that she is filling out whatever she has to fill out and initiating that police response for you. Well, that started back in the wee days when Houston Police Department was knee-high to a duck, okay? And dispatch consisted of, well, one time they had one channel, the whole city, and then they had two channels, north and south. And north and south was whatever happened side of the bayou you happen to live on, okay? And then it grew to 4 channels, and now we have 16 channels, okay? But those who are technically inclined, you can appreciate this maze of simplicity we're about to talk about. We had complaint operators or officers are the ones who initially take the call. Hi, you're Miss Jones, you live at 1410 West 11, and a robbery, somebody's breaking in your house. Okay, we'll have somebody out there in a minute. Had a wall. And on the other side of the wall was where the dispatch positions were, the radio positions, okay? But the way you got the call slips from this point to this point was on a little conveyor belt, okay? Little conveyor belt. And up to about 1980, Los Angeles Police Department was using a system similar to this, okay? Totally manual system, a department that takes in 4 million calls a year. Totally manual system. It drops, it passes through here, through a little hole, and on the other side is a bucket. We're talking a mop bucket here, nothing real fancy, okay? And into the bucket would drop the slip. And then we had this highly skilled officer who came over and read where it was and said, oh, it's north, and gave it to the north dispatcher, or it's south, and gave it to the south dispatcher, okay? If he got sick, he was our map. He knew where everything north of the bayou, everything south of the bayou. Now we use a very high power, computer-aided dispatching system. We moved from this to microfiche. Those who know what microfiche is, or are, whatever the plural is, okay? Moved microfiche to a hybrid computerized manual system. Who's a computer guy? Up to January 5th, 1987 at 4 o'clock in the morning, I was there, okay? We meaning dispatch, operated on a shared system, okay? A very large shared system. I'm going to tell you something that's going to surprise the heck out of you. The police department is the largest computing facility in the city of Houston. Okay? Now you wouldn't think that that would be true. We do on an average day on one system 21,000 transactions per hour. Okay? We have got a big PC. Okay? A big guy. We currently operate on an 1192 Sperry mainframe. Okay? For those who are technically inclined, 24.5 gigabytes of mass storage. Gigabytes, for those who aren't technical, are billion characters of storage. 24,500,000,000 characters of mass storage. We're talking just one system here now. We got 3 of them we run off of. One system. This is the backbone. On this guy are personnel databases, geographic index files, payroll, budget, planning, fleet management, case management by division, a 4th generation language called Mapper, for those who don't know what Mapper is. Mapper is the best thing since pop-top beer cans for those who don't know anything about computers. Because you basically design your own program. Say, I want you to get this. And he gets it. No language, no nothing. Just do it. And it does it. 288 megabytes of online memory. 288 million bytes, million characters of data of online memory. We currently have 465,000 offense reports online. Okay, online means you walk up to a terminal, put in a number, and there it is. Okay? That's online.
You guys got response time?
That's on another system. Okay? It's on another system. Believe it or not, we do, you're a techie, right? We do something called LogSec. Okay? We log every transaction. I don't care who does it and where he does it from. When you sign on, you put on your payroll number and your password. And everything you do, every file you touch, every screen you look at, everything you do is microcoded. Okay? And not counting LogSec, we do 19 million transactions a month. That's not counting LogSec. Okay? Off of this guy are 785 terminals spread all over this police department. Okay? In Central, all the substations, West Side Command Station, you may have seen it on TV, that big new monstrosity we got out. Beach Night, that's respectful. He's just a big guy. If you ever go out there, you get lost. It's 4 stories. Big guy. There's 4 more other ones coming in. That one command station has 150 terminals and 49 printers. One command station. It is a little police station. It will have courts, a jail, everything. Investigators, everything else.
Cars?
Cars, fleet management system. The only thing it won't have is dispatch. This department uses a centralized dispatch facility. Okay? 785 terminals. Anything else you want to know about this?
What happens when it goes down?
That's a problem. Now, 1987, I'm doing a report right now. This is, I can give you numbers on this. 98.6% uptime for 1987. That's not bad. Okay? It's not great, but it's not bad. Okay? This is not a very critical system. Okay? And I don't downplay its importance. But if it don't work, you still get a police car. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? If you need help, you got to depend on the system that's going to be up 99.97% of the time, which the one we're fixing to talk about is. Okay? This machine processes data so quick you have to water cool it. Okay? You have to water cool it. It's got water, it's like a big radiator inside of it. Okay, any questions about this thing? Any questions? Primarily COBOL language, okay? That's what it runs. 1,500 batch programs and 800 online screen transactions. Okay? This is just one center now. The closest one that can touch us does 440,000 a month in the city of Houston. The closest computing facility.
Who owns it?
Municipal Courts Building.
Do you compare that to NASA's facility?
I have no idea what NASA has.
Same thing.
Oh, yeah, it's a pretty big guy. There's no question about it. Just the processor is about the size of this room.
Just comparison, we saw this the other day, we got 1.86 million tracks.
I don't know how many tracks it's got.
Memory.
Okay, to get technical about it.
4.59.
Okay, we have 48 500, no, this is not either. 48 sealed disk packs.
I think we got like 8.
Okay, oh, we got 48. My machine's bigger than yours.
Well, that's just the one we use. There's several, I think there's 4 or 5.
Yeah. This is a big guy. It's designed to do one thing. Store information and move it quickly. That's all it's supposed to do. It doesn't do a lot of fancy stuff with it. Doesn't give you all kind of charts and graphs and figure out the trajectory of the moon and re-entry and all that other business. It's just designed to do one thing in life. Keep data and move it quickly. Okay? All right. We have three systems that we work in on a daily basis. We already talked about the Unisys system. Okay? And the Unisys system has 785 terminals. This is a big guy. Okay? Big guy. We're going to talk about CAD. C-A-D. Computer Aided Dispatch. It's driven by two VAX 8600 super mini computers. Okay? It's capable of doing 892,000 individual transactions in 1 hour and only using 18% of its processor to do it. Okay? The other 82% is sitting there saying, beat me, kick me, call me dirty names. Doesn't even break into a sweat. Okay? There's easily a tripling of growth there. On this system is where when you call the police, we better be there quickly. And this guy is designed never to go down. Okay? The time that it does go down is what's called cycling time. Basically, we have two VAX 8600s sitting side by side doing the same thing. Redundancy. Okay? It's driven by 8 RA81 disk drives. Anybody knows what those are? I read it on the front. Okay? All right. 8 RA81 disk drives. About every 3 seconds, the secondary processor sends a message to the primary processor saying, are you okay? Basically. That's what he says. Layman's language. I teach this, and I have to teach it on officer level, so I use simple terms. Okay? Are you okay? And as long as A says yeah, nothing happens. If A fails to respond, or A says, no, I feel bad, I'm fixing to die, or whatever. Or, if A fails to respond in 10 seconds, B invokes a takeover. In a minute and 12 seconds later, you're up and running. Okay? For 1987, this machine was down 146 minutes out of the year. 99.97% of the time. And the time it was down is the time it spent cycling. So it's really not down, just not there working. Okay? Now on this machine, because it's always up, this is where we dispatch cars, enter complaints. I promise not to walk too much, okay? Enter complaints and do a bunch of other neat things. For instance, if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and an officer has a woman that's been whipped by her husband or beaten by her husband, and it's not a case where he has to put this guy in jail, or it's kind of borderline where she don't want to press charges, but she can't go back inside the house because he's still steamed. We have to find some place to put her. Okay? Some referral agent, some social service agency. Well, the officer on this system over here, which is linked with all three on the MDT system, Mobile Digital Terminal, little bitty computer in a police car, types in info battered women, and every agency that takes in battered women 24 hours a day comes up on the screen. Okay? Or supposing we've got a kid out, 15-year-old kid, who's in a drug seizure, overdose seizure. Now he needs some, well, he's already been stabilized, but he needs some help on counseling, substance abuse, and whatever. Types it in, info substance abuse. All the agencies that take care of substance abuse counseling come up. Or better yet, remember on this system I told you the personnel file is there? Okay? Well, one of the neat things we have on the personnel file, you look like you speak either Chinese, Japanese, Korean, or Vietnamese. Which one? Chinese. Okay. We have a couple officers that speak Chinese. We have some that speak German. We have one guy that speaks 8 languages. Now, what he's doing in the police department, I have no idea. Okay? Because I'd be in the United Nations someplace making some serious money. Okay. But anyway, over here we got personnel file. In addition to saying who you are and what's your race and sex and date of birth and where you live at and who we call an emergency, it's kind of neat things about you. What's your interest? What are your talents? You speak Chinese. Great. Tell me. Because every week we take a personnel file, to account for the demotions, promotions, transfers, resignations, firings, and all this other stuff, and transfer it over here. Okay? And load it in. And part of what goes in is his little neat thing that he speaks Chinese. Okay? And when he came, say, when I became a policeman 13 years ago, 12 years ago, my payroll number that they gave me is 57913. Now, I'm studying for lieutenant now, and if I make lieutenant, it will still be 57913. Okay? So that number is going to follow me as long as I'm with the police department. Never changes, like my Social Security number. The only thing that goes up, not in the last 3 years, is my pay. Okay? So, when we go over here, we put 57913 in. It brings that record over that says he can do this on the machine, his security clearance. And then the little neat things like he speaks Chinese. Okay? So at 3 o'clock in the morning, if an officer's driving around, he stops a guy, and the guy gets out of the car and says, "Hoing, toing, toing," you know, and it sounds like Chinese. He just types in his little machine, LANG space CH, and tells me who speaks Chinese now, who is working. Okay? Not who can speak Chinese and he's at home sleeping. But who is working right now that speaks Chinese, German, Arabic, Italian, French, Japanese, Spanish, definitely, yeah. We got this function. This is, in other words, God's gospel truth. We got this function from something that happened to me personally. I was part of the task force to design this system. And before I went to dispatch, I was an accident investigation officer. And I worked accident investigation. Okay? So how many of you are real familiar with Houston? Pretty good. Highways anyway. Okay, good. Good. Well, we're working northwest Houston. Okay? It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Everything happens at 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay? It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and my partner's name is Roy Alvarez. Okay? Roy Alvarez. Okay? So, 3 o'clock in the morning, dispatcher says, 1306, and we are now Katy Freeway and Highway 6. You know where that is? Okay. Says, 1306, check by with 11 Dan 54 at 13,900 block of Macao Road. Okay? We're talking a serious distance. Okay? About 60 miles. So, get on over there. I get out of the car. My partner gets out of the car. There's these two rather large Anglo officers who got this little Mexican kid stopped. It says, my partner gets out, and my partner is a typical Hispanic-looking male. Brown skin, brown eyes, mustache, brown hair, and with the name Alvarez, right here. My partner walks up, and the two Anglo officers says, Roy, ask him his name. So Roy says, what is your name? He said, no, in Spanish. He said, I don't speak Spanish. Well, what are you doing here? So the dispatcher said, check by with you. I'm Katy Freeway to Highway 6, 13,900 block of Macao Road. Took me 45 minutes to get here. Used 13 gallons of gas. And I'm here. So how can I help you? Says, you can't. Okay? Well, what happened is dispatcher looked at the roll call sheet. And on the roll call sheet it said, Weaver and Alvarez. Oh, yeah. He speaks Spanish. That heuristic feeling that comes over him. Oh, yeah. Right there. He speaks Spanish. So, what we do is every year we send out a questionnaire to officers and say, tell me your talents. Have your talents changed? Are they different? Do you speak another language now? Because, like I said, we have one officer that speaks 8 different languages fluently. Can write Arabic, and that's an accomplishment right there. Okay? All right. CAD system. Over here. 97 terminals. CAD system. 28 complaint positions, 18 radio dispatch positions, excuse me, 2 supervisor positions, 1 message center. And the message center is our link with the outside world regarding police department functions, okay? If we were going to send a message to the Webster Police Department, we'd do it from the message center. And vice versa, if London Metropolitan Police wanted to talk to the Houston Police Department about something, to look up a file or check a name, they would send it to our message center. Okay? Anybody knows how a message center works? Kind of like an old teletype system, except it's fancier and it's quicker. Okay? MDT system. MDT is an acronym, stands for Mobile Digital Terminal, or Mobile Data Terminal, or Mobile Display Terminal, whoever happen you talk to. Okay, whoever sells it. We use 3 types, 2 manufacturers. We use what's called a little machine that's really neat from Vancouver, Canada, called an MDI, Mobile Data International. It's the company that makes this little machine. And we have another one built right here in Texas, in E-Systems, or Electrocom Automation, in a model 800 and 850. Now, since we have radio people here, you'll understand this stuff, because I don't. Okay. We operate all of our voice channels in a 460 band. Okay? 460 050 through 460, I think it's 400 is the top one. Okay? We have 12 patrol channels, 2 Department of Secret Stuff channels, and 1 other digitized channel that we use for telephone patches and stuff like that. Okay. The MDT, the 800s and the 850s, work off like a normal radio channel does, a tall building principle. Okay? All of our transmitters are at 1 shelf square. You probably knew that. Okay? It's not top secret information. Raise your right hand. I won't divulge it. Okay. Thank you. 1 shelf square. Okay? All of our transmitters are there. And we have about, I want to say about 23 repeater sites all over town. And then a whole bunch of microwave sites. Okay? Again, I'm not a radio person, okay? So if I talk gibberish, forgive me. All right? These little E-systems work, again, on tall building principle. If you're far away from the nearest receiver or repeater, you're probably not going to get in. Okay? And if you're close to one, you're probably going to get in. And we use a voter concept. Okay? Y'all familiar with that? Picks who has the strongest signal and then sends it on to the next one, who picks who has the strongest signal and sends it on to the next one. And all that takes about that long. Okay? Well, the other little machine that we have that I'm kind of in love with works like a cellular phone. Okay? This guy works on 5 800 megahertz bands. Okay? This little machine is the neatest thing in the world. We basically have 5 800 megahertz cells all over town that cover the whole city. One of them's in the center, and a couple of them overlap with that one. Okay? This little machine, because it's a cellular concept, because it's trunked, okay, every three or 5 seconds, I forget which one it is, sends a message out to all of the MDTs that are working of this brand, okay, and says, check if this quality control message is okay. And it checks, and if it's okay, nothing happens. If it's not okay, he starts searching for another channel that's stronger. And as you drive down the street, it's common to watch it change channels. Channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go back and forth. Okay? The other neat thing about it is that you don't have to be a smart guy to work it. It's basically one big form. Pull up a form and do something. Pull up another form and do something else. Okay? Any questions?
How many
Yes,
of
sir.
those do you have? How many units?
Okay, we have 322 right now. We have 137 E-systems and 185 MDIs. Okay? Yes, sir.
Are these things like 80 characters long, 24
Um,
24 lines? Or are they single line displays?
Just a minute. No, it's full page display. When you send 4 characters, you send the whole page. It's 10 lines, 40 characters, 400 characters per screen. It's a little bitty TV tube. Everybody's seen Sears sells them AM/FM cassette, AM/FM TV with the 3-way power. It's got the little bitty black and white screens, about 4 inches diameter. That's about the same size of this little machine.
How many of your guys go in for glasses?
No, it's really high resolution. Really a nice little machine. Y'all go on field trips? Are you interested in like really neat stuff?
Yeah.
Go down to dispatch. Randy Durr arranged this for me to be here. And whoever talked to Randy Durr, okay, call Randy up and say, listen, can you swing me a trip to dispatch? And is this Webster just, or are we talking Houston?
It's Clear Lake, people from
City of Houston,
City
Clear
of
Lake?
Houston,
Okay.
Nassau Bay, Webster.
In the past, now, Metro's probably going to be PO'd on me, okay? But in the past, Metro has volunteered to provide a bus transportation from wherever you are down to the police department. Okay, Randy...
One way.
No. No. Speaking of that, I was in New Orleans a couple of years ago, and New Orleans used to have a sign to really get the point across about drunk driving. And their sign was, New Orleans has 2 excellent forms of transportation. And a yellow cab here and a police car over here. Okay? Yeah. How many calls do you think this police department gets? Houston PD?
Houston?
Yeah.
Probably around 18,000 an hour.
Nah. But you're close.
17,992.
In 1987, this is just for 1987 now.
You got the statistics back already?
Yeah. I do that myself.
Keep track as you go along?
You see that VAX 8600, the other 82% is sitting there not doing anything? Well, I made like maybe a 0.5% do something. Okay? 1987, we received 1,653,844 calls. Okay? That's a good number. Okay? On an average, we were... Sir?
911 calls, or is that just all calls?
I can tell you that. One second. That's the total we got. Okay? Now, we have 2 ways of contacting the police. 3131, an old 7-digit number, 222-3131, or 911. Okay? Difference between the 2 are distinct, like night and day. If you call 222-3131, I have to ask you where you are. What is your phone number? When you dial 911, I know where you are and what your address is and your phone number. Okay? All right? I know where you are. So if you hang up, say you have a heart attack, and there are people walking around the city of Houston right today that owe their lives to 911. I'm telling you. They had one old 86-year-old, sir?
What do you call from a cellular phone?
It comes directly into the police department. I can tell you who provides your switch. And
You
you're...
can't locate the individual.
No, we don't have that stuff yet.
Asking too much.
Yeah, right now we're asking too much.
Suppose you call for a phone booth. 911's a different.
Suppose you call
Just a
for a
second.
phone booth.
I can tell you the corner you're on, who owns the phone, because you know these pay telephones? AT&T or Southwestern Bell don't own them. Somebody else owns them. They bought them or leased them from Southwestern Bell. Like the phone outside of a 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven guy probably owns it because he gets half to take. Okay? Yes, sir?
On this enhanced 911.
Yes, sir.
For general information, what does come up on the screen
As soon as contact is made, we get your phone number and your address
That's it.
of where that call is being made from
That's it, phone and address.
and class of service.
All right.
Is it a residence? Is it a business? If it's a business, I get the business name.
Yeah, but don't you also, you had a capability put in there if there's special medical problems at that residence?
That's someplace else. Okay, I'll get to that in a second. The system, we get this information from Southwestern Bell. Okay, we have two computers, an ANI computer and an ALI computer. ANI stands for Automatic Number Indicator. ALI stands for Automatic Location Indicator. Okay, when you dial 911, your phone comes in through ANI, goes down to Southwestern Bell's office on West Lane Street, to their CO, gets CO Central Office, okay, gets the billing address to go with that phone number, and brings it back to the police department in a heartbeat. Okay? Yes, sir. Over two 9600 baud lines. If that means anything to anybody. Okay?
I assume that the 911 computer system is not the same as what you're calling CAD.
Correct. It is not the same. They are integrated.
Do you have a way to transfer that data that comes in off that machine over to dispatch, or does somebody then need to manually pull it off and stick it back in?
No. We have the 911 system and the CAD system, the 911 function and the CAD system integrated, to where at the complaint operator's console, when she has a 911 phone call, the address, phone number, and whatever else is associated with that pops right up on the bottom of her screen. And instead of having retype it, we just use a function key and move it to the appropriate location on the complaint mask. Okay? We can process a 911 call and have a unit dispatched in certain priorities, not all of them, okay, in as quick as 17 seconds. Once contact is made, we have a unit going in 17 seconds. Okay? That's pretty quick. All right, but this police department and this city works in what's called a neutral environment. It's not like Harris County. Okay? We have a place called 911 Neutral. And when you call 911, you will speak to two people. The neutral answering point will ask you one question. What is your emergency? Okay? That's the first question they'll ask you. My house is burning. Stand by, I will connect you with the fire department. And they hit a button. And they connect you directly in to the fire department dispatch center. Now you tell that person you talk to in fire department, my house is burning. He knows where you live at if you're calling from inside the house. Okay? But if you're calling across the street, I live at whatever address you are across the street. Okay? The only time you come directly into the police center on 911 now, just 911, is on a mobile phone. Okay? We went into a contractual agreement with the network, the Greater Harris County 911 network. In Harris County, there are 33 municipalities on this 911 system. Houston, of course, Harris County, of course, Jacinto City, Baytown, all these little bitty towns. Webster, Texas, yes sir.
I live in League City, which I think is Galveston County. Their fire trucks also have 911
Correct.
on them. Who do I get?
What are you calling from? Your car phone?
No, because I call from my home in League City.
Or you're probably going to go directly into League City's 911 center.
It belongs to the city.
Yeah, yeah. If they're on the network, if they're on 911, if they have 911. I don't know if they do or not.
Your fire trucks say they do.
Well, the stickers are cheap. No, they probably do. I don't know. That's Galveston County. I have nothing to do with them. Okay? But every law enforcement agency, every municipality in Harris County is on the 911 system. Okay? To answer your question about volume, 467,790 calls came in over 911 for 1987. over 3131, 1,185,544. For those who like percentages, this is 72% and this is 28%.
Can you
Bunch of
explain
those
that?
for business calls, 31, 30.
Now, I'm just telling you the volume, okay? I'm not telling you anything about dispatching yet. I haven't done anything to the call.
I say they were, part of the 72 were business type calls.
I imagine so, but some of the, just because you call 911 doesn't mean you can get a policeman, a fireman, an ambulance, okay? The biggest problem we have right now is silent 911 calls. Somebody dials 911 just for kicks and grins. 3 o'clock in the morning, hangs the phone up and leaves. Okay? No, I don't.
You know where they call.
I know where the call came from, but I don't know who did it. Now, 9 times out of 10, they're false. But can you tell me not to go on your mother's house that 10th time? Can't take that gamble. And because we can't take the gamble, a silent 911 call is a number 2 priority. Number 1's the highest. We have to have a unit on the scene in less than 10 minutes. Okay?
1 or 2.
For priority 2.
Can you explain the discrepancy between the 3-digit 20% and
Do what now?
can you explain the
Okay, supposedly, the concept of 911, and it's not supposedly, I'll take that back. We play the tape. Okay. The concept of 911 is bona fide emergencies should be reported over 911. Now, some people have a hard time discriminating between what is, to them, a bona fide emergency. Because I came home and found my dog dead, I'm going to call 911. That's an emergency to me. I grew up with this animal, okay? And that does sound facetious, but believe me, we get people who make those calls, okay?
Is that legitimate?
No, it's not legitimate. But what's going to happen to you? Okay? You pay 22 cents a month, and you did it for 3 years, and you never had a service, and all of a sudden they turn this guy on, and you may use it once a year. Okay? Once a year. What's going to happen to you? There's no penalty right now for abusing a 911 phone.
I thought there was.
There is in a state law statute, okay? But the legal requirements of a Class B, a Class A, first-degree felony, second-degree felony, third-degree felony says unreasonable doubt. Without a reasonable doubt. I can honestly say that he, without any reasonable doubt, picked up the phone and dialed 911 and hang up, and I never talked to him. Okay? It could be your 7-year-old boy who dialed 911 and hung up just for kicks and grins. Yes, ma'am.
I've been part of a listening crowd on some of the repeaters, which obviously use the 3131
Yeah.
because of squirrel activity and such, when they're trying to report an accident in progress or something. And the dispatch or whoever it is has
Correct.
answered has given them all sorts of fits. Hasn't understood the amateur radio operator or mobile and has given them a hard time. Are you addressing that particular thing?
I have honestly never talked to anyone in my 9 years in dispatch who's called me from a ham radio that I knew, okay? That I knew that he was calling me from a ham radio. I mean, I know there's phone patches and all this. I've seen them inside some of the South Houston officer police cars have them, where they can patch up different phones and different frequencies. They're really neat gadgets. But I couldn't tell you one from the other, because I'm on the other end. Now, our policy, the Emergency Communications Division exists to do 4 things in life. So the protection and preservation of human life, protection of valuable property, I forget what the other 2 is. That's enough right there. That's 2 right there, okay? That's the 2 biggies, okay? And our operators go through a pretty good training process. 40 hours of in-service training, 80 hours of pre-service training, and you know, like anything else, we're going to have a couple that fall through the cracks every now and then. But when we find them, and they're visible, and we get complaints on them, and we can verify the complaint, believe me, they're dealt with harshly. Okay? It's not just, you know, don't you do that again.
she's
Does
probably
it help
not
if we call in
talking
and
about
say,
being a-
we are an amateur radio operator? I mean, if we pass through and we say we're on an amateur radio, do they know that things may happen like?
Well, are you talking about on the phone?
No, I'm
on the
talking
radio?
On my radio through a telephone line.
To a telephone?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can do that phone pass.
Okay, all right. Yeah, no problem. No problem. It's transparent to the operator. She can care less whether you're calling from a mobile phone, whether you've got a fancy gadget inside your house that you can call on a radio and get into a phone line. It's transparent to her. You got one thing
It's
you want
not
done.
I disagree with you. It's not transparent to her. In the first place, the mode of operation is different. You don't have duplex operation over ham radio when you're through a phone patch like you do on telephone. So she's got to talk different in the first place.
Okay.
She can't talk the same way. But I don't think.
What do you mean she has to talk different? I don't follow you.
You got to almost say over.
Oh,
Okay. You
all
can
right.
only talk one at a time.
Okay. All right. I understand
Big
what you're saying.
difference.
Okay. Yeah.
It really
All right.
is. But I think what Helen brings up is not a complaint, and I'm not really sure where she's coming from, but I think I can guess. It's that the people don't know what amateur radio is. You
Mhm.
ask what our amateur radio, they don't have the slightest idea, and it's probably just a process of in your training that you talk about that they do know under what.
See, I wouldn't even aware it's different talking on the ham radio than it is on telephone.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem.
I apologize for my ignorance.
No, I'm not trying to.
No,
jump in.
I didn't know because I'm in charge of training. I'm supposed to know.
But it is different, and that's why normally when somebody does an auto-pass call that
Mhm.
Helen's talking about, that they identify themselves as being an amateur
Okay.
operator in hopes that they understand there are some limitations in the way you carry on a normal conversation.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that, but I will make sure
And,
that that's
the
addressed
question
some kind of way.
follows is maybe in the process of training these people that you could get a ham or some amateur operator to come in and
No
talk to them
problem.
about it.
How frequently, just for curiosity, for my information, okay, how frequently do you use that ham patch, whatever it is?
It's used
I
by the-
hear,
Downtown,
for
you-
the short time that I'm on, I hear 4 or 5 a day on one repeater.
Okay.
The other important-
Bear me out. There is an in-service training session starting March 3rd, running for 16 weeks for all of our training operators. I'm going to see if, it shouldn't take long to explain how to talk over
Absolutely not.
30 minutes, probably the most, okay? I know a couple of our guys are ham radio operators, because I see all the big antennas on the back of their cars, okay? Like they went to Radio Shack and caught a fire sale or something. But yeah, I know that they can adequately explain how to talk on a radio. But if it is different, then I would agree with you. Go ahead and notify up front. I am calling on a ham radio or whatever you call it.
It really wouldn't be any different than the way they would talk to one of your mobile units.
There's two-way
It's
radio.
one way at a time.
Not really, because on our mobile units we have walkover or voiceover. If I'm talking to you and he needs to get on the radio, as soon as he grabs the frequency, I hear him in my ear while I'm talking to you.
Yeah, but see, Harvey, the thing is, that they may go in on 911, or they may have an auto dial that takes you directly on a phone line, so the gal's talking, or person is talking to
Sure.
you on a telephone, so they're not thinking in terms of radio communications, they're
Yeah.
thinking in terms of the telephone.
And the people you talk to, quite frankly, hardly ever get to operate the radio, because it's not their job in life, okay? We have 3 levels of operators, a PCO 1, 2, and a 3, okay? PCO 1 primarily takes complaints. That's what she does. Talks to people, services a complaint, and initiates a dispatch, or drops a slip, if you will. The 2s train the 1s and can work in what we get to the 3, which is the radio dispatcher environment. Okay, that's their goal in life. That's primarily what they do, is dispatch on the radio. 3s, that is. And 2s are cross-trained both ways. But the bulk of the people that you talk to have never operated radio at all.
Yeah, are you familiar with the cave downtown? Do you know what I'm talking about? VOC for Houston?
Oh yeah, but the whatchamacallit, what SWAT used to be.
Do y'all have terminals down there and so forth?
No sir, no sir. Our center has a UPS system. Our center has battery backup. As long as we got gas to put in the generators, we will not go down. Has 15-minute battery backup. There's 135 wet cell batteries to operate that system.
Must be some link then between, a weather emergency or something that happens between the EOC and your center?
Yes, there is a data link and a voice communication link. Now, if worst comes to worst and the whole police department downtown was gone, we could go over into the EOC and use handhelds to talk to units on the street, and then our phone company has alternate routing to where they can send, I think we have like 8 positions, 8 telephone lines that we can receive calls for service from. Okay? All right. Of the ones that we dispatch, of 1,653,844, we sent police cars on 940,861, or roughly 57%.
This is a
Okay.
12-month period.
Sir?
We're talking about 12 months?
Yeah. Yeah, we do an average about 130,000 calls a month in, and we dispatch close to 65,000-70,000 a month. Okay? About 3,000-4,000 a day we dispatch.
You guys busy?
Oh, you want to talk busy? You're just talking about police cars going out. Okay? Be that North Shepherd or that Southeast dispatcher or the Central dispatcher or the Special Operations dispatcher who has 85 units that she has to control. One person.
How do they know where the cars are? That's the question.
Number of ways. Where they are, the officers are assigned a geographic area called a beat. Okay? We take a piece of land, a big piece of land, and we call it a district. We have 20 master districts in the city of Houston. Our area covers, last count, 695 square miles. That's the city of Houston. Okay? We take a district and cut it up into smaller pieces called a beat. And we take a police car and we stick them inside that beat, many actually, and say, this is your area. You don't go out of your area. And anything happens in your area, you will handle. And that's the way we keep track of them, primarily, called beat integrity. Yes, sir?
If you send multiple units into an area, into a beat,
Yeah.
do you then subdivide that beat, or do they all?
Only in one instance. We have a downtown Central Business District. You've been down there lately?
Once or twice. Maybe.
Okay, all right. Lately. You see officers walking downtown every now and then? Well, we take the Central Business District and we cut it up. That's one beat. That's one M10's beat, okay? And it's a pretty big piece of land, one M10's beat. But we make strip beats out of it. Okay? And we have an officer assigned to a 2-block square. 2 blocks that way, 2 blocks this way, 2 blocks that way, 2 blocks that way. And that's his strip beat. That's the only time we take a beat and we cut it up into smaller pieces. Okay?
Now, what if I need an Alvarez out of one of those beats to another area? I mean,
No problem. If he speaks Spanish, he's in there.
Did
Okay?
someone go into cover where he was?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because in addition to walking,
I hope you send a car to get them. 2, 4, 6, 8, 12.
they walk and exercise, yeah. Part of our physical wellness program, okay? Now,
You put the Alvarez's in the middle.
yeah, distributive processing, there you go.
Multi-language goes in the middle.
Yeah, we got a NASA engineer to figure out the probability of likelihood we're going to have a Spanish-speaking person right here. And then, statistically, use regression mathematics to calculate the probability projection to take a unit, go over here, and then send it right there.
The NASA engineer probably told you it'd be a lot.
That's a lot.
There's one everywhere.
Okay, this is degenerating into something else. Let's move on, all right? Somebody had a question about something other than who spoke Spanish.
Locate your
How
cars.
do you know where they are?
Okay,
was one
by beat, and also by them truthfully telling where they're at.
Okay,
Now,
so
we are going to a system in about 2 years, that's what they plan, called AVL, Automatic Vehicle Locator. And there are 2 flavors out there right now, land-based and geosynchronous satellite, NavSat, okay? The land-based is very expensive to maintain, okay? Putting a satellite up there ain't cheap either, okay?
GPS terminal.
But it's more accurate, okay? I can tell you within 30 to 75 feet where a police car really is, okay? And then instead of saying, you patrol this area, I know you are here, and I have a call here. Instead of sending this guy who's also in your area, I will send the closest one.
how do you keep
Okay.
track of who's, suppose you dispatch someone to go check a burglary.
Sure.
There's another call 2 houses down for something. I mean,
Sure.
how does the dispatcher know that one car is already busy doing something? I mean, how do they keep track of all that?
They really do. It sounds more complicated than it is. The system takes over and says, are you sure this is the same call, or is this a different call? Okay? If it's the same call, we just duplicate it out, just make it on top of the other one. If it's a different call, and based on the priority, it'll start looking for police cars to send on this different call.
The computer takes care of that. The dispatcher doesn't keep that on their mind.
No. We have the dispatcher in front of her. The last time I saw a NASA Space Center, whatever they call that pit where you guys are, with the big screen, you know, we call it a pit in dispatch. That's not disrespectful, okay? That was a compliment. Okay. We have y'all had 2 screens per person? Well, we have 2 screens per person. We have a work screen where they enter all their commands on, and a status screen that, in addition to having a digital marquee where MDT transactions, they arrive, they do on a traffic stop and all this other stuff, we also have a system called Auto ID. Okay? Oh, great. Auto ID. He don't have to say who he is. As soon as he goes, click, I know who he is. Okay? Because his unit number pops up on the console. And he also has a pin on the radio that he can pull. He stops a guy in traffic, the guy gets out, he's 6'9", 875 pounds. Okay? And he says, I'm going to make a wish, and grabs the officer. Well, you know, instead of pulling out the radio and says, send me help, if he's told me what he's doing and where he is, or he put it in the computer himself, all he's got to do is pull that pin. And as soon as he does, that computer thinks he's the only one in Houston. Yes, sir?
A couple years ago, like
Sure.
chips or something had on that there's supposed to be a radio unit that when an officer goes down, the radio goes off.
Maybe. London has something like that. The London police do not have walkie-talkies as we know them. They have what's called a distress pack, and it goes on their collar, okay? When they are down on the ground, it emits a signal and stops to where it can be transmitted on, okay? It emits a signal in which goes downtown someplace, and it says, Officer Smith, whose area is here, is no longer standing upright, okay? You know, it's okay if you're hurt, but if you're not, it's awful embarrassing. Okay? Yes, sir.
If say you have 2 vehicles and they're both in a beat, neither one of them do anything, and this dispatcher says, vehicle A, go check out call,
Sure.
and vehicle B knows that he's closer, so you call in and say, hey, I'm closer, I'll take it?
No problem.
That's all worked in, that's a human factor?
Yeah.
The
The system is not inflexible, okay?
You still
if
got
it-
people in control.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Matter of fact, if the people don't press the button, nothing happens. Okay? The system comes up, it presents a call to you, and it says, if you want to, dispatch this guy, basically. Okay? Now, if he has an MDT, I don't have to say anything. I just press a button, and it's gone. Okay? If he doesn't have an MDT, I have to really work. I have to say, 1M10, and I'll let my foot pedal loose. And he says 1M10 back. I said, 1M10, 1410 Smith, robbery in progress, code 2. Let my foot off, and he goes. Okay? And that's the amount of work. But there's more to it than that. You got to stroke the keys. There's a whole lot of functions. When an officer runs, for instance, an officer runs a name. Okay? He checks 22 different databases when he runs one name. And it's one transaction. Sees if you have any municipal warrants, if you've ever been arrested before, if so, what for. Do you have a hold card? You have been a who? A hold card. It's an internal vernacular. You've been arrested, but you've never been charged with something. Okay? Like you got brought in for suspicion of muckety-muck, okay? And they found out there's no charge for muckety-muck. So they fill out this card. And they say, here, we're going to keep this on file. Okay? Whatever. Yeah. It's somebody who's arrested for a fairly serious crime, but not charged in it. Either due to insufficient evidence, or the DA won't take charges, or the complainant, for instance, before we had the Domestic Violence Act. Anybody know what the Domestic Violence Act is? Okay. There's a state law that says if you get hit by him, and I can tell, okay?
Tell what, that she got hit or that she got
No,
hit?
I can tell that she got hit by him. It's a visible sign. She's got a big old red mark on her face, okay?
She's the only one who's there when you show up?
And yeah, and I get there, and he said, well, it was a little argument, nothing wrong, okay? And I can tell that he hit her, okay? She don't have to want to press charges, okay? He's going to jail. If I consider that the only remedy to keep me from coming out here 20 minutes later to pick up her dead body or his is to put him in jail. Okay? Now, Texas has that. State law, yes, sir. And if
That works both sexes, right?
oh yeah, yeah. If I go there and he's got, just his face looks like ground meat, and he says, well, officer, I don't want to put her in jail. I love her too much. He don't have a choice. He has no prerogative.
Once you're called.
Yeah, once we're called, when we get there, and if we can,
Called by somebody else.
we can still determine by whatever investigation on scene that a party was injured. It is visible, and there's less than reasonable doubt, okay, that the one who's on the scene did it, okay? If he fessed up, oh yeah, I just slapped her a little bit, he's gone. Gone. And it's not just go to jail, pay your fine, and get out. It's a Class B misdemeanor, which means you post $400 bond, you go to county court, it's 6 months possible jail time, $2,000 fine. We're not talking slap on the wrist. We're talking serious stuff. Beating a husband or wife is nothing to sneeze at. Okay? And that's the only deterrent. If he knows the next time, or she knows the next time he or she causes each other grief, and the neighbor reports it, one of them's going to go to jail. Now, it's real good incentive to work out the problem. Okay? It really is. That's the only effective deterrent. We've tried counseling, we tried everything.
Is it working?
Oh, yes, sir. Oh, it'll wake somebody up real quick. You mean I can go to jail for beating my wife? She is my wife. I own her. I'm in my house beating up on my wife. You leave me alone. That's the mentality of some people. I'm serious. Okay? That's the mentality of some people. My wife, I do with her what I want. Well, they find out real quick that that's not the case. In this day and age, spouse beating, they call it now, instead of wife beating, because sometimes the wife really lets in on it, okay? Spouse beating is against the law. Okay?
Same thing for children?
Okay.
I beg your pardon?
Same thing for children?
In what respect?
Child abuse?
Oh, yes, sir.
Spouse abuse?
Yes, sir. And we look at...
Neighbor abuse?
Sir?
Neighbor abuse?
Well, yeah, if assault, yeah.
Party A, party B, right?
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't make a difference. If we can, by the investigation on the scene, we have a pretty good idea that you slapped him because he used your lawnmower, didn't ask you. Okay? he can file charges on you. In that case, he has to want to file charges. But in a husband-wife or common law situation,
So there is a distinction.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's-
With the exception of child abuse. Child abuse, if we can tell there's child abuse present, if there's a
So
possibility of
living
child abuse.
boyfriend could fall under, a living boyfriend, for instance, could fall under this category. I've seen a lot of those types of instances. Mommy's divorced, her husband went away, and
Yeah.
boyfriend lives there, they like the kids, smacks them around, and they wind up dead or whatever.
If they hold themselves out to be, this is technical now, okay? If they hold themselves out to be husband and wife, they are married in the eyes of the law. Okay? In Texas law. In Texas law.
Two people going in front of your friends.
Okay?
They're
If,
presenting themselves as being together, that sort of thing.
yeah. If,
Same address.
same address, that they have the same bank account, they are husband and wife. They don't have to be legally married by justice of peace. Okay? And if one splits, they have say they have a quote divorce, there's a couple of test cases going on right now that says I can get 50% of whatever I had, whatever you had when I moved in. Now that's awakening, I tell you. Okay? I don't have to worry about it. I'm happily
I have a
married.
question back on the other
Sure,
side.
let's go back here. Let's talk
We
about
have a problem with people who may or may not be amateurs that jam our frequencies from time to time.
Okay.
And I can't imagine that you don't have the same problem. What do you do about that?
We don't have any problem with people jamming our frequencies. The only problem we have is sometimes, and very, very seldom, an officer will lose a walkie-talkie. Okay? Now, if they're the older kind, we have 3 types of walkie-talkies out there. We have an old 8-channel, and 4 kinds, an old 10-channel, an old 12-channel, and a 24 up and down. Okay? Has 12 on the back side, 12 on the front side. Got a little flip switch in the middle. Really neat little radio. They're really expensive too. Payroll deduction is a pair. Okay. Basically, yeah. The city says, listen, you lose something that belongs to me, I can make you pay for it. Now, normally, if the negligence can't be proved, okay, they'll just absorb it, and maybe give the guy the day off or something. But if the guy, just leaves it down and goes off to the beer to go to his car someplace, comes back and it's not there, that's negligence. Okay, and they can make you pay for it through payroll deduction, forced payroll deduction. I've seen it done before. For instance, if I lose this, okay, and I am negligent in losing it, you don't believe the paperwork you have to go through to get another one of these guys. Okay? And it don't say anything. It's not anybody's name on here. It just says Sergeant, Houston Police Department.
Got a number?
No number. No nothing on it. No nothing on it. Okay? That's all it says. But the fact it says Houston Police, that's the issue. Because unless I show you my ID, people normally accept this. Okay? And that's what they look at. Okay? So I'm not really Sergeant Weaver. No.
How do you find these walkie-talkies?
We found one time that I know of. Some of our special thefts officers put out in their network of snitches that, there'd be a really nice reward if we could find this radio. And a snitch called up and said, yeah, guy's got it on the corner, man, and he's always using it, and he's playing with it, and sure enough, search warrant found it there. And the guy got charged with theft. Okay, a misappropriation of city property, what do you want to call it. We found one time through triangulation. The guy just up there, talk, hey, and then let it go for a couple minutes, and hey. And one of our dispatchers one of our radio techs got up there and started timing his frequency. And then when the guy is thinking about, he says, oh, it's about time him go, hey. He turned whatever he turned on and found out where the guy was within a general area. Okay? And we found the guy driving down the street going, hey. Okay? So we caught him. To my knowledge, we never lost one forever yet. Besides, the battery is going to run down very, very quickly, unless they can go out and buy a cadmium nickel-plated battery. I don't think they can. Or a charger for it anyway. I don't know.
What's the criteria for putting computers in some cars and terminals and not in others?
Okay, the main factor is the voice utilization. Okay, it's common for a patrol channel to be 66% utilized during an 8-hour shift. Okay, and that's heavy. 30% is considered maximum. So what we do is we look at the utilization factor of a voice radio channel. You got 65 police cars on the street, and all of them are beating each other to death trying to get on the air. Okay, then you got to figure out a way to make order out of that chaos. And one of the primary benefits of an in-vehicle car is it takes about 80% of that routine traffic away. Okay? No longer do I have to say, I am on the scene, I am changing my location, I am doing this, run this name, check this plate. I do it on the machine. Okay? And it cuts out about 80% of your traffic.
How many can talk at once or use at once? How many can use terminals at once?
Doesn't make a difference. On the E-systems, everybody can use it at the same time, okay? Because the system, each unit is like a different terminal, okay? Because you're in a police car and have a terminal, and you're in another police car and have a terminal, doesn't mean that you get your turn and then you get yours. Whenever you feel like going, you do it. And the system, the controllers, the RDC-95A controllers, separate who got here first and who gets in line and whatever you. Electronics part does that. Okay? And the MDI terminals, it can care less who transmitted first or last, because you got 5 frequencies to distribute your load on. And one channel, one 800 megahertz channel can handle up to 117 police cars with MDTs. That's 117 active police cars out there running checks. And believe me, we'll never get that many on one channel. Okay? All right. Anything else? Can I answer any questions? I want to thank you for letting me come out here. I really enjoyed it. Yes, sir.
Getting back to calling in, let's say, to report an accident, would
Yes,
it
sir.
be better to call 911 or 3131?
It all depends.
Say
Is
I'm
someone
out-
hurt? Or is
Say
the car
I'm,
overturned? Do you think someone's hurt? You don't know? Which one is it?
Well, let's say it's a major accident.
Okay, call 911. I'd go 911. The reason being is 911, it will get you in very, very quickly. Okay, and that's what you want. You want, because if 2 lines are being competed to be answered, okay, and one of them's a 3131 and the other one's a 911, normally, not normally, always, we will answer the 911 call first before we'll go to the 3131, because there's a fairly good high probability that somebody's calling about something serious. Okay? Yes, sir.
The LA County Sheriff Department, I'm
Sure.
new in town, I came from there. LA County Sheriff's Department has what they call a ride-along program.
Sure.
Does Houston?
We do, but you got to sign your life away.
You had to sign it around there too if you guys.
Yeah, I know. We do have a release form that you have to go through. But before you do that, you have to write a letter to Chief Brown saying, Sergeant Weaver came out and I was just terribly impressed. Okay. No. No, Sergeant Weaver came out and said, for a ride-along program, I have to ask you, is it okay, and how do I go about it? And he will send it down to whoever he wants to reply. For instance, if you live out this way, you would probably be interested in riding out south or Clear Lake area, okay? Clear Lake is okay. I mean, it's fine. They'll send it to the Clear Lake captain, who will then call you and say, well, when? You know?
3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, everything happens at 3 o'clock in the morning. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I happen to be a member of another radio club that has several repeaters that are open repeaters for the general public. And by way of information, we can't use the 911 because unfortunately there are the bad apples in our barrel too, just like there are others, and have misused it and caused grief to the companies that have the telephone base in the building where the repeater is. So we have to use the other number.
Okay. Well, if he asked me which one to choose from, I would call 911, but if you can't do it on your patch, then you can't. Best thing you do is stop at a payphone and dial 911. By the way, 911 is free. Any place, anywhere, anytime, any phone. Okay? By state law, it is free. Even these new kind of private pay phones, you know, different subscribers, GTE or whoever, Joe's telephone service, 911 is free.
But you still have to put in the first quarter.
No, sir.
No,
No, sir. You just pick up the receiver, 911, and you're in. You do not have to put in any money at all.
Just like you can get an operator without putting money in. There's
That's right.
some calls you can make, and 911 is one of them.
911 is one of them. Okay? But remember now, well, don't remember. Just remember where the accident is, or where the incident is happening. Okay? If you are in, I don't know what the borderline is out here. Say Bay Area Boulevard is the borderline between Houston and Galveston County or whatever that is over there. Okay, Harris County. If you are on the Harris County boundary side and you dial 911, you're going to go to Harris County neutral. Okay? You need to tell them up front, I'm calling about a wreck on I-45 north of Bay Area Boulevard, and they'll know immediately that it's the city of Houston if they, you know, they'll do it real quick. Find out by geofile, geoindex. Okay?
A little over a year ago, I called in my wife's own accident.
Your wife's own accident.
She had a mobile unit. I'm sitting, well, I'm at work with
The mobile phone you're talking about?
No, amateur radio.
Okay, all right.
She called me on the amateur radio, and I telephoned at the office.
Mm-hmm.
It was right on the borderline up there in the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm. If that's the borderline, I'm just guessing. Yes, yes, sir.
Bay Area.
Questions? Go ahead, answer.
Borderline down that way a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
Between NASA Road
There's
1.
several borderlines.
I know the mall. We have the mall. I know that much.
What's the operator do that takes this call if the number that comes up shows an address that's quite different from the address where you say the problem is?
No problem. If you call from across the street and you're calling about your house, but you're at a neighbor's phone, okay?
No, I'm thinking of what he was talking about. He was quite removed from wherever he.
No problem. No problem. Just we keep track of where you're calling from and your calling phone number, and we get where we need to go. Okay? If we have to call you back, it's quite common, for instance, when somebody calls about an alarm down the street. Okay? That's all they know is they hear it down the street. You know? Well, what street you on? Well, 17,100 block of Space Center Boulevard. Okay? Well, there's probably 50 little shops right there. When we get an officer in that block and he says, listen, I can't find anything. Can you call the complainant back? If we have your number, we'll call you back and say, listen, can you kind of pinpoint it for us? Have you got any idea? Did you ever hear this alarm go off before? Oh, yeah, 2 weeks ago. Do you know who it was? Well, yeah, it was Joe's pool hall. Sometimes if we go over that incident with that person on the phone, it'll click a memory inside their head and say, oh, yeah, it happened there. Yes, sir.
If you could have anything you want in your police car
Yeah.
that you don't already have, what would it be?
An AVL system.
On that vehicle?
A good AVL system. Okay. They're real expensive. The good ones are expensive.
I know.
You got to hang them up in the air in order to be really good. Have a good one. And right now they are tremendously expensive. They are looking at basing some of these AVL systems on a PC, believe it or not. Okay. Also, I'd like to see an AVL system linked into a real-time mapping system.
Map of the city, watch cars drive around.
Watch cars. Not only that, but real-time plotting of crime. Instead of history reports of crime, because that's what I call them. If I get a crime analysis report that's 3 days old, it's not meaningful to me. because normally crime patterns only last 3 to 5 days. Okay?
But if you're an officer in a car, do you want some big brother watching you when you go grab a donut? You know, I mean,
If I go grab a donut once in an 8-hour shift, that's not a problem. But if I camp out at a donut shop, that is a problem. Okay?
is there, I don't know, is there a policeman's union or is it not?
Sure, there's a union, but AVL systems are sold on one premise and one premise alone. 2 premises, I take that back. To get the closest unit to the call and to enhance officer safety. Okay, those are the two premises they're sold on. And sure, this management handles into it. Okay, I know where you are, what you're doing, how long you stayed in one spot and all that. That's no problem. Because if I stay in one spot, I got a legitimate reason to stay in one spot. Okay? When I come to work, if I'm a sergeant, for instance, which I am, when I work patrol, if I saw all my troops once in a week, I was lucky. Okay? Because primarily I got paperwork to do, evaluations to do, and they're out there doing their business. Now, if I can't trust them doing their business, then I need to follow around them. And they need about 10 of me to do that. An AVL system takes the place of that. Okay?
Are there any cities that have this AVL system?
Yes, sir. St. Louis, Missouri evaluated one, but they bought it on the premise of reducing response time, which it really doesn't. Okay? There has to be management inroads, procedures, policies, value statements, line supervision has to be very, very good in order to make something happen out of just an inanimate object like an AVL system is. You buy a computer, it's not going to make your finances do any good unless you put the numbers in. Okay? Same thing here. The AVL system, unless you have the strong supervision, management, and policies and procedures and to back that AVL system up, it's not going to reduce anything. Okay, and that's not my statement, that's my boss's statement, which I admire that man a whole lot.
But nobody has one in working order other than what?
Sure, St. Louis has one.
Still have one. I thought you said they just tried it.
Oh, no, they've had one for a number of years. It's either Dallas or San Antonio has one, but I don't know how they use it. I don't know, it's a Hazeltine system, it's a land-based system, I'm told. I don't know how good or bad it is.
That's technology.
But land-based systems are real hard to maintain. You got these little sensors all over town, and they're susceptible to dogs raising their legs on them as somebody driving over on them, and they ain't cheap. Okay. The best system out today you can defeat with 4 very quick 90-degree turns. It's common knowledge. And believe me, it doesn't take an officer long to figure that out. Okay?
Thank you for coming down.
This is really out.
We're part of the city of Houston, just down the road. Thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you. Seriously, why don't you all consider coming down and looking at our system downtown?
We might terrorize you if we are killing you, though.
No problem. Listen, believe me, I've had classes of, I've had 75-year-old kids up there. If I can handle 75-year-old kids, I can handle this group of adults. Okay. Get with Randy. Okay. He'll be more than happy to work it out and arrange all the details. Chief Brown would love to have you because he's very proud of that system. I'm very proud of it. 3.5 years of my life went into it. And it's great. There's not another one like it in the country. It's like walking in a Star Wars movie set. I mean, color screens, everything. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I think that's it for the day.
Lots of this.
Policeman, he doesn't steal things. Any of you who are not members who are interested, see Kevin. He's got information. He's got ARRL information. He's got pamphlets to give your neighbors if you have an antenna and they're complaining about it. Anything else? Kevin's secretary-treasurer. Newsletter, if you didn't get one, he's got some.
He doesn't have ARRL applications, though.
Yes, I thought he did.
No, I still got information. I don't have applications.
Oh. And the next time I will bring the motor vehicle license plate registration forms. I have an in. My wife works at the license plate bureau. It's very easy to get a ham radio plate. It costs you $2. It's, quote, personalized as a result. It takes about, what, 8 weeks?
8 weeks.
Then they'll make it up for you and send it to you. Gary.
$2, is that the total cost? For the
$2 plus your normal registration fee. So if you, yeah, $2.
costing about twice or three times?
No, personalized plates cost that much, but ham radio plates, the state considers them a way of identifying people who can communicate in emergencies. And so it's just $2 for them to make up the plates. They're treated just like normal car plates. They used to be on a March-to-March cycle. The form still says that. You have to turn it in by October and wait. That part's not true. The state's just too cheap to make new forms. Anytime you want it, you fill out the form, you get it notarized, and we have a notary here holding the camera. Get it notarized, you turn it in, you pay your you send $2 to Austin, and they will call you and say, your radio plates are here meeting downtown. Call the local license bureau, whatever one serves your area, wherever you're from. They will arrange to get it shipped from the downtown office. If you're in Harris County, Galveston County, I don't know exactly where their central thing is, but in Harris County, and they'll bring it out to you. Then every year you just get a tag for it. And after 5 years, if it's old and gray and dingy, you can get a replacement. So it's not a big deal. It's a very nice way, especially if you're into races or areas or need to get in places. The police know that that's a call sign. Every time you go use your credit card at a gas station, though, they go, Texas? Because they hear this funny thing that doesn't match their normal format of 3 numbers and 3 letters or whatever.
What do they put on it, call sign?
Just Texas radio operator and your call sign.
I was pretty
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them sitting out there.
Aren't you supposed to have a radio in your car, though?
You're supposed to be able to receive and transmit from your car. A handy-talkie suffices.
Used to be a requirement.
Used to be a requirement, but it's not anymore. You just sign a thing that says, yes, I can. In other words, if all you have is a boat anchor at home, you're lying if you're doing that. And when you sign it, you say you can.
You can get a ticket for it if you don't have radio.
Anything else? See Kevin, he can handle it. Our next meeting will be on the 17th of February. Same time, same place, and Helen will be here to dazzle us. Thank you all for coming.
And think about your nomination for candidate.
I'm not here.
Hi, Dave. The G3M. Hi, I've heard you on. I haven't talked to you. And it's encouraging to see us growing. Oh, you're right. Okay. Yes, Boy Scouts is a definite.
Let's get a few pictures. That's awesome. We're being recorded right now,
That guy was really interesting.
Yeah, he really was.
Those 2 idiots sitting there.
I'll get you on camera.
Smile! Smile, John. That was dipstick.
I can zoom in, Bob.
Anyway, classes would be good. The problem that we're having is since the club is 5 or 6 months old now.
6.
6 months old? Happy birthday.
Yay.
You know, we had such a mixture, it's hard right now to focus on. Do we have enough? If we can get back to the group of people, I mean, I would consider teaching a class, you know, 1 night a week to 5 or 6 people. But if it's 1 or 2, then it's better if you can go to Howard or to a Grady, or just if you know me personally, come on, go over.
Yep, that's right. Yeah. Cameraman.
Kind of like the end of an MTV constellation when we come out like big.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I had one QSL.
I don't know
why or how.
I know how, but
there was a PA0 on the other night. night he was on a ship coming off the ship channel, and then last night he was on a ship about 60 miles east of Galveston. He was on Tuesday. On Tuesday, distributing through the Galveston.
And I've had
Kevin.
call someone and say, I'm amateur radio operator
Kevin.
on mobile phone. It puts you on hold. No. And the repeater comes out.
Too late.
Because of all that garbage on the other,
Thanks.
on another night.
Anytime.
It's better many times just to call someone and say,
High level.
has anyone out there got a
Yeah.
phone at home, whatever, or...
And so it goes. The time is 5 till 9, January 20th, 1988. The January meeting for the Radio Club. Bye.